Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Claire. I am your 7th-star mystic. Today I'm going to be doing an energy update reading for the masculine, feminine energies. One of the reasons I do these readings is because oftentimes they work together. They work together within us, they work together in our relationships, but more importantly, they work together in the laws of nature. Masculine and feminine does not just talk about gender. It talks about the property of something. It talks about a plant having earth to grow in, a seed having earth to sprout in, and water and sun. There's all of these elements that come together to create reality as we know it. Masculine, feminine polarities are a specific axis that we can look at to evaluate ourselves, our lives, and to better understand where we are at in our journeys. I am not here to give you answers. I am here to give you tools to find your own answers, most of which you already know, but have not found yet. Very cryptic, I know. I also have my Earl Grey here, so cheers to all of you. I hope that this video finds you well. I will begin with the Animal Spirit deck by Krans. And I would like to say that if you have found this video, there may be messages in here for you. They may pertain to you, they may pertain to someone you know, they may pertain to a group of people. You may think of different people at different times during this reading. Maybe I say one thing and it makes you think of your friend, and then I say something else and it makes you think of your significant other, and I say something else and it makes you think of your mother. These are just messages coming through. You can interpret them however you wish. Don't try to stick too hard to whatever label I'm putting on it. I'm just doing that for the sake of simplicity. So let's begin. I will draw a card, one for the divine feminine energy within us all, one for the divine masculine energy within us all as well. So, I love this pairing. And sometimes, as many of you know, if you tune into my channel often, I will read from the book sometimes. I'm not going to do that today because these are two cards. They're some of my favorite cards. They've been coming out a lot lately in both personal readings and collective readings. So let's begin. For the feminine, we have the spider. For the masculine, we have the mouse. First of all, I just want to say that I'm filming this at the time of a global pandemic sweeping the entire world. And there's a lot of change happening within our individual lives and on a very grand scale level. And something that I think we are being called to do is look at our own worlds, our own lives, what we can control, what we can contribute to, and what we can do to create positive change in ourselves and in our current circumstances. Because sometimes that's all we can do, is just work with what we have and what is around us. I think Mildred's about to come up in here. My cat is literally right here on the table. She's very needy when we're in the basement. She has a lot to say. I think it's because I'm filming this in the basement. There's a lot of spirits down here. And she just wants to say hi. Kind of. Passively. Hello. Okay. So, the spider represents the webs that we weave. It represents the tales that we tell, the narratives that we spin. This is a card of storytelling. And the intuitive nature within us all, and also within the divine feminine in your life, this energy is currently dealing with changing up the narrative. We've been living by a certain narrative that has been swept from under us in certain ways. You could feel this personally, or you could be observing this in the world. These narratives are being swept away. Here comes the spider. Along comes the spider. It is not ominous. The spider comes to tell a new tale of a future where we all work together. The thing about a web is that it connects us all. And we're all looking at how we're connected right now in our lives and in the world. It's a really beautiful energy for the feminine collective because we are currently repairing tears in the web. If you are a spiritual or supernatural person, many of us are doing this on a level where we are meditating or praying or sending out healing energy, which does count for something because our thoughts are very powerful. Our reality is what we make it to be. What we perceive is what is, let's see. What you perceive, what is it? I'm having a hard time with the phrase I'm trying to think of. Your perception is your reality. There we go. I don't know why that was so difficult. Your perception is your reality. So if we have a bunch of people perceiving that healing is sweeping across the nation, it counts for something. And I truly believe that. And there are many skeptics out there, and they can be skeptics, but this is a really beautiful energy for the feminine. This is internal work as well, going within, reworking your own narratives, the stories you tell yourself about your own life, and about your own powers, and about what you can contribute to everyone. And also, the spider energy has a lot of wisdom. And it can be in some traditions associated with the grandmother, who she has so much wisdom to impart. And so we are drawing upon our inner wisdom. Okay, so that was the feminine energy for the animal cards. The masculine energy is the mouse. This is an energy solely concerned with instinct. It makes a lot of sense. When there is a crisis happening, when there is something going on, our instincts kick in, such as fight or flight. One moment. Right now, the thinking part of us all, the logic part, the part where we are using reason, trying to decide what to do, it's really important that we're listening to our instincts. Now, I'm not talking just about fear, because this can be a lot about fear. The mouse has a lot of natural predators, and I think that a lot of us are realizing how precious our mortality truly is, and how precious life is in general. And this can also talk about living in the moment with the mouse energy. It can talk about focusing on the details in order to find the answer. It's important to not obsess over the details. So masculines out there, look at the fine print, but don't get a headache doing it. Because there's a bigger web being woven. And it's almost like, it's funny, I'm having a vision in my mind. Here's a web, and kind of the way the internet works, or the way a circuit board works, there's little beads of energy traveling across each strand to the central point. And I see this mouse energy as collecting those beads of information, or those beads of data. And it's all so the masculine and feminine are working together. The masculine is kind of in this data collecting position. I hope you guys are enjoying this analogy and following it. The feminine is the holder and the circuit for the data, so that it has a direction to go in, right? So, but both of these creatures are very small. Excuse me. Kind of showing us that there's a lot going on and it's all so much bigger than us. So I'm really loving this teamwork here, and each party, even if there's like not a masculine or a feminine in your life, or whether you're single or you're seeing this with yourself and your friends or yourself and your family, there's a lot of teamwork happening. And there's a lot of, the mouse is about conquering fear as well, and using those instincts to know precisely when to act and when. So let's see, I'm going to do just some current energy cards for the Divine Feminine energy, using my Angel Tarot cards by Radley Valentine. Okay. Here we have the Four of Fire with Ego. It's funny, not a lot of tarot decks have the Ego card. Give me one moment. So before, this is feeling very reflective to me. Four of Fire is about having a happy home life. It's about feeling content and successful. It can be about being aligned to your best self, being aligned to the life you would be living if you were your best version of yourself, which everybody can be. And right now, we're looking at the things that we've kind of aligned to in our life based on ego. This means things that we think we need to be to prove something, or things that we felt we had to fulfill because society told us that was what we were supposed to do, or this is what my friends would approve of. I want to be seen as popular. I want to be seen as approved of. I want to be better than the person next to me. I want to compete against people in order, and it's all of these things, but they're shallow. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. And we all do this. We align to things that are shallow because we're afraid of being authentic, because it makes us vulnerable, or because it's hard, or because we don't know how to do it without having to work hard at something. Whatever the case may be, the Divine Feminine energy is talking about aligning to your truth and to your authenticity and to what actually lights your inner fire and to what actually brings you inner harmony. This could have to do also dealing with egos in your home life, because we've all been quarantined. Egos may be flaring because people are starting to realize things that aren't real that they've been upholding, but now they have nowhere to go, and it's all starting to come to the surface. And like I said, these are the webs we weave. These are the stories we tell ourselves. Ego can also be fear-based thoughts, and kind of, I'm seeing shaking those off, like shedding, and it's coming off. So those fear-based thoughts are kind of coming to the surface to be shed. Let's see. Okay, so I have another deck, but I don't feel I need to clarify that any further. Let's get kind of a current energy for the masculine. Bam. We got one out. Let's see if there's any other ones that come out. Okay. Ooh. So we have some really powerful dynamic hard hitters, which is what the masculine's really good at, this dynamic, hard-hitting energy. Strength and justice. Justice kind of tried to come out in reverse, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I do want to point out that the 4 of fire can be 1111 if you are into number magic. And the strength card is 11. I'm always loving how the masculine and feminine energies are mirroring each other, and I wanted to point that out. So here we have, let's talk about strength and justice. This is a big energy because strength has to do with courage. It has to do with systems of power. It has to do with who's the big guy, who's the little guy. Who's number one, who's second place. This is what I'm talking about with what the feminine energy was looking at. Competition versus cooperation. There's always got to be somebody at the top and somebody who falls down the pyramid because there's no room at the top. Now, my personal observation is that humans, by nature, create hierarchy. This is why, now, don't get me in, well, I'll just say briefly, anarchy, and I'd love to hear somebody argue this with me. Anarchy is a transitory state, no matter what. People crave, some people want anarchy, not realizing that even if anarchy happens, we would still build hierarchy structures in whatever happens after that. There's always going to be people who take on leadership roles, people who prefer to take on supporting roles, or vice versa. With this strength card, and if you want to, anything I ever say in my videos, if it inspires you to comment or makes you want to talk more about it, you can always comment in the comment section below. So we have strength here. Okay, so on another note, this is also talking about people drawing from their inner strength, getting over those fear-based thoughts, drawing from their inner strength, and having courage to move forward into a new day. But then comes out the Justice card, which goes back to what I was talking about. There has been so much injustice. The supposed safety net, I live in America, and the supposed safety net we're supposed to have for people has been broken for decades. There is no safety net. People fall into the basement, into the dark, unsupported, without living way under the poverty line. And there's nobody there to stand up for them except themselves if they have the strength and the courage. And some people are having to do this. They're having to try to find a way to stand up for themselves because they need the support. And we're looking at our justice system because some people are being denied support for petty reasons, ego. Okay. In your personal life, so that's on a grand scale. In your personal life, this can talk about looking at your own sense of right and wrong. This can talk about realizing how you would like to be better. And this is on the masculine collective. So that takes a lot of strength and courage to look at yourself and say, what do I want to do to be better? And this is not just men. This is everyone. But it's the masculine collective that is highlighting this and bringing it out for us to look at, right? So strength and justice. Standing up for your beliefs as well, even if it takes a lot of strength and courage. Standing up for your beliefs. And I think the reason justice came out in reverse is because some people are standing up for absolute injustice because that is what they believe in. Some people adamantly stand up for what they believe in, even if it means that people have to be neglected. And the divine masculine energy is saying, this will not stand. We have to do something about this. We have to look at it. So I'm just going to get a few more cards for the divine feminine. Any other cards for the divine feminine right now? Yeah. The systems we had before, the justice system we've had before, it's not cutting it anymore. It needs a makeover. And we should give ourselves the time and resources to look at that and see what we can do. Excuse me. So, Divine Feminine is starting to feel a little bit replenished because of the rest we have been all called to take. Now, if there's a part of you that's been tired of staying inside and you're getting really sick of it, that's not the part of you I'm talking about. Or maybe this is you compared to your partner, and maybe your partner has been feeling a little bit like revitalized and replenished. This is somebody or a part of you where there's a new sense of emotional depth that's come from having to take a mental break. Taking a mental break from the day-to-day, from the grind, from the rise and grind. Just taking a break from that because you were forced to, but then actually, hopefully, most of you have been following those rules and staying inside, staying home as much as you can. Shout out to all of the medical workers, by the way. Shout out to all the postal service people. Shout out to the trash people. Shout out to the plumbers. Shout out to all the people that have a job where they have to still go out into this world. I know I didn't touch on all of you, but I just want you to know how appreciated and amazing you are. Okay, but there's just this energy here of being revitalized and replenished because we have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups, we have the Four of Swords, and we have the World. So there's a big cycle ending. And we're starting to feel the new coming in and what that's going to look like. And we're meditating on it, and we're resting on it, we're sleeping on it. What is this new world we're about to walk into when everything wakes up again? When everything is opened again? It's like Sleeping Beauty, and the whole town went to sleep. What's going to happen when we all wake up? What's coming in here? There's something fresh coming. Even though we're in the midst of a global pandemic, this revitalization has brought a close to some very major cycles that our society has been going through, and we're leveling up to something more collaborative and cooperative, because that is what we need. We don't need competition constantly. We need a balance. This is what the Six of Pentacles is. We need a balance. The Hierophant. This talks about structures. This talks about groups of like-minded people, all focused on the same thing, the same objective, the same mission. Finding balance in the systems we exist under. Finding balance in the patriarchy we find ourselves living in every day. I don't know, I see the divine masculine energy as figuring out a way to work with what we have and reshape it. Because the people who invented the patriarchy were fruitcakes. There's a balance happening, and we're evaluating. So that is all happening intuitively. It's kind of something that we're moving into, even if we still feel in the dark. And it is the cooperative nature that we are looking at, because that is cooperation and competition exist harmoniously, ideally, because we do need both in order to keep this world somewhat interesting. But the feminine tends to be more cooperative, and the masculine tends to be more competitive, and they feed off of each other really well when they're in balance. Interesting. So, oh my God. So, the masculine's side today is pretty short and sweet. We have the Chariot with the Queen of Cups. So this is exactly it. The masculine, it's almost like the world is starting to see that this balance is needed because the systems have been out of balance. There's been too much competition especially in the large-scale systems. If you go more local, you can see this balance and how it can actually work well depending on where you live and how progressive your town is or your community. But on a large scale, it's still pretty out of balance. And the divine masculine energy today shows that we are charging towards a more compassionate, cooperative future in this world. And that is what we want to move towards. We want more systems of support. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about the government coming in and changing everything and controlling everything. I don't know. I don't even know how I identify politically half the time. And I'm not talking about politics here. I'm talking about people coming together, how we do that, and what we focus on. That is what I'm talking about. And here, looks like the divine masculine is looking, and he could also be in your life. This could also be an energy of going towards a compassionate feminine figure, looking towards a mother or a wife or a friend and asking her what she knows, because he cannot assume that he knows the way she does. He cannot appropriate her knowledge. He cannot take it from her. But she can share it with him and they can work together. I get very, very protective about feminine energy because people just want to take it and claim it as their own without giving due credit. There are so many women in history who have not gotten credit for the work that they've done. The men takes the credit. The men take the credit. But there's harmony here, and there's a very in your personal life, you could be going towards a mature, emotionally mature female if you're a guy, or a girl going towards an emotionally mature male. And then the Ace of Cups unifies the reading. This is healing, which I hope and believe, truly believe, is going to be pouring over all of us as we are moving through this global crisis. This is true love. And that is something I believe in more than anything, is that the masculine and feminine working together creates true love and unconditional love, which changes the world. And this is something we're tapping into. But it's divinely protected because it's not something to be taken advantage of or to be thrown around disrespectfully. This is the wellspring of divine inspiration and healing in terms of our heart's healing. So that may be a little too sappy for some of you. If you're a little bit more cut and dry, this is just major healing coming for everybody due to a lot of the hard work, but also, I'm just feeling a lot of magical energy from this overall, and a lot of things that people are working really hard on to make the world better. So I really love that, and I hope that you found this helpful, insightful, useful in some way. I hope that it gives you tools to find the answers that you may be seeking, or guides you to continue to cope and survive with this world the best way that you can. So please like and subscribe. I will be posting more videos soon, and thank you so much for letting me read for you. Until next time, take care.